Welcome to today's video, 1 Chronicles 4 verse 10 explained. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, O that thou wouldest bless me indeed, and enlarge my coast, and that thine hand might be with me, and that thou wouldest keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. And God granted him that which he requested. This verse captures a short but powerful prayer from a man named Jabez. While he is only briefly mentioned in the Bible, the words of his prayer have left a lasting impression on many believers. Jabez begins by calling on the God of Israel. This shows that he recognizes the authority and power of the true God, and he places his trust in him. He does not rely on his own strength or wisdom but turns to God for help, guidance, and blessing. When he says, "Bless me indeed," he is not asking for something small or superficial. He earnestly desires God's favor in a deep and meaningful way. The repetition and the word indeed emphasize how serious and passionate he is about receiving God's blessing. It shows he believes that everything good ultimately comes from God. Next, Jabez asks God to enlarge his coast. This phrase refers to expanding his territory, but it also points to something greater. He desires growth, opportunity, and influence. He is not content with staying limited or restricted. He is asking God to give him more room to grow, more space to live out his purpose, and perhaps more responsibilities to fulfill God's will in his life. He also prays that God's hand would be with him. This is a request for God's presence and guidance. In the Bible, the hand of God often represents his power, strength, and direction. Jabez knows that any success or blessing would be meaningless without God's presence. He wants to walk closely with God in all that he does. Then he asks that God would keep him from evil so that it would not grieve him. Jabez is aware of the danger and pain that evil can bring. He wants to live a life that is free from the harm that sin and wickedness can cause. He is not only praying for success but also for protection and righteousness. He understands that true blessing includes being guarded from things that could lead him away from God or bring sorrow. Finally, the verse says that God granted him that which he requested. This short line shows the faithfulness and generosity of God. It confirms that God heard Jabez's prayer and responded with favor. This encourages us today that God does listen to heartfelt, sincere prayers. When we seek His will and ask for His guidance, blessing, and protection, He is ready to answer. This verse reminds us that we can boldly come before God, just as Jabez did. We can ask for His blessing, for growth, for His presence, and for protection from harm. And like Jabez, we can trust that God hears us and will respond according to His perfect plan.